Around the Table with Vickie. Just like gathering around the dinner table with loved ones and friends, we're here to share stories, insight, and inspiration. So we just finished up part 1 and part 2 of Faith, Entrepreneurship, and Business, where Brian comes in and we start talking about how we met and how we got into business. And now we're getting ready to go into the end of our part 3, and you don't want to miss it, so join us.
Well, that building was a lot of firsts for you. I mean, one of them would be that it's not just the care facility. There's independent cottages and independent living all around that building.
And that was our first time.
That was your first stab at it.
Yes, it was. And we met so many wonderful couples that moved from all across the country.
Yeah.
And Mr. Willard told us that would happen. I don't know that I really believed him. You probably did, but I, was a little always hesitant about those houses. Now we're building 150 off of Paravel, which is called Iva Lace. And we're going to talk about that in shows to come too. But we cut our teeth on cottages for senior living driven kind of homes at Smith Mountain Lake back in the 2006, 2007 era.
And I think one thing that's important to mention too is that when we were trying to create this experience for seniors that was more than just what the standard was. A lot of it for us, honestly, it was driven from Disney. We were super over the top Disney kind of family, and we would go there. We've been going there for 20 years, and we would go to the resorts and do different things. And when you left there, it just made you feel special. The things that you did, the places that you visit, how their staff treated you. So we took a lot in our thinking about the things that we enjoyed from places like Disney or other kind of things, and tried to build it in as much as you could into the senior living world with that. And so I think that's a lot of the things that we tried to do that would sort of make us different. And the fact that we were owners, we were taking the risk. A lot of the fact that we could do this on our own and try to make that a priority, I think set us apart different because we were local, because
I think we need to stop right here and kind of say that we don't have investors.
Yeah.
It's always just been a family-owned and operated business. So we can kind of put some of that to rest, that it's not a bunch of investors that have invested into our company. It's us.
Start with that $5,000 back Spring.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but we've always, taken the financial risk at the time when we did it, really probably not even understanding the risk that we were taking, and never ever thought that it could not be successful.
Because we believe God gave it to us.
We really did. And so just like this opportunity at the lake, we never would, honestly, I've sort of felt like after the forest one was completed that, we were happy, everything was good. This opportunity came, we just, again, was another opportunity when a door opens, you walk through it.
And then jumping into your next facility.
Well, let's mention one thing. I think it's important when you talk about faith and you talk about risk-taking as an entrepreneur. When we started the construction, it was a 1.5-year construction for the lake, and it had all the multifacets of all of the cottages that was around it. We opened up the lake in August of 2008. I think everybody knows 2008 was the financial downfall when the stock market crashed and everything happened. So we got our CO in August. The world was collapsing financially around things, and we were like, oh, wow, God, what did you do here? We got all this in place to do this, and now, all the gloom and doom kind of things that was out there, But he always had his hand on us, and we there's a lot of things that helped guide us through things. I think the bankers that he hooked us up with.
Well, why don't you talk about that? Why don't you talk about how that happened?
Well, back in the day when the lake was starting, because she was so unsettled with this, and I mean really unsettled. I don't know if you've ever been around Vickie when she doesn't want to do something, she can be pretty forceful, like, I just don't want to do it, quit talking about it. And so for a while, it was more of that kind of thing with the lake. She didn't want to do it, and me and her dad were sort of persistent. And so for her to get peace about it, we went to Thomas Road Baptist Church. Jerry Fowler was our pastor.
Senior.
He married us, and so she said, all right, let's go talk to, when you have these kind of quandaries in your life, you talk to your pastor. So she made an appointment to go see her pastor, and I know you called up and said, we want to go meet with the pastor, and I think she thought, if you want to,
so we got an appointment really quickly with Dr. Jerry, and looking back now, I didn't know this at the time, but we would only keep him in our lives for just a few more years past then. Then the Lord was going to call him home. And I was insistent that I needed to go and talk to him. And when we walked through his doors of his office, he seemed so concerned about us. And he sat down, he said, "Guys, what can I help you with?" And he kind of gave me that look, and I said, "Oh, no. We're not in trouble with our marriage. I need some pastor advice. I need for you to pray with us. I need to know And so we laid out the plans of that building. And I remember I was in his office, and we could look out over the window and see, see things of the campus kind of going on. Or at least he had pictures up there. I can remember. It's been so long ago. And he immediately, after he looked at the plans that we had drawn out, he said, "Where you want to put this, guys?" And you said, "We want to put it at Smith Mountain Lake, and that's the problem." He said, "What kind of problem?" And you began to tell him that I didn't have a peace about it, and that I felt as if I was a little weary about doing this. And he just kind of looked at me and he said, "You'll be fine." And one of the things I said to him was, "You don't understand, we can't find enough staff as there is. How are we going to find it in such a rural place like Smith Mountain Lake?" And he called Jerry Jr. in.
Well, what he said, to really grow, what you really need is a real bank.
Right.
And he made a comment and said, "You need a bank." And he called Jerry Jr. and called him in. And when we were sitting there with him, he actually called Worth Carter from Carter Bank,
who's no longer with us.
Who's no longer with us, but they helped all of Liberty's growth for the most part. They were the one that took the giant step of faith to help them. So he said,
and listen to this story, entrepreneurs that are listening, because God, again, is like, how did we get in this room, and how did this just happen?
Yeah. So he calls Jerry, and Jerry comes in, sort of gives him a summary of what we wanted to do. And he says, "Call Worth." So he tells Worth right in front of us. I didn't even really know who Worth Carter was at that point in time. I just was following along. I was there for the ride. And so he calls Worth, and lo and behold, Liberty was having a board meeting 2 weeks from then. And Worth said, "Well, I'm going to be up there for the board meeting. I'll meet them." So we had this date, and we were supposed to meet him, and it was supposed to be that afternoon. And he said he would just call us. So we go by these 2 weeks, and that date comes, and we're all ready to meet him. And it's like 4:00, and I said, "But he hadn't called us yet. I don't know if it's going to work out. Maybe he forgot." Well, like 4:45, he calls and said, "Do you still want to meet?" And so he met with us at one of the Carter Bank branches near the school. And when we met there, we met, we had the plans. And he, from that meeting at one of the local branches, he said, I'll do this for you. You just follow me, and if you follow me, I'll take care of this."
Which, let's stop right there. Isn't that so much what our Heavenly Father does for us? And for him to say those words as a banker, and not just that, before we ended the meeting with Dr. Jerry,
he prayed.
He looked at me, he took both of our hands. And again, that's such a special time for us, because we didn't know the Lord was going to call him home in just a few years after that. It really wasn't long at all. And we were sitting in the space, and he looked at me and he said, "You don't need to worry about this."
Right.
And I thought, that's easy for you to say. I was looking at that dollar amount I was going to have to sign for then. And he said, "This won't be the last time you do this. This will not be your last build." So he was prophesying well beyond what was giving me indigestion that night. He was prophesying God's blessings well beyond that. And the other thing he said to me is, you don't really need to worry about staffing, because God's going to bring them to you. And I'm going to pray for that right now. And that's such a special time with our pastor.
Yeah. Well, I know it gave you real peace. I think after that meeting, you were on board fully.
Blessings, but challenges.
Yeah. Because it was a big ticket item, and we were jumping from the
comfort zone
into the frying pan. It was a big deal. It was a big commitment. And so, and then when we met with Mr. Carter, and he pretty much said, "I got you. Just stay with me." And that's how we did. I feel like a puppy dog sometimes, just following what he said to do. And
he really protected us during the economic downturn.
Well, that's where I was sort of leading to. I think we opened this building, and It was August of 2008. And we had 7 pads or 14 homes we had built. And we had built this 36,000 square foot building. And I'm like, wow, okay.
People's homes at the lake stopped selling.
Yeah.
They couldn't move into the cottages because theirs couldn't sell. And him as a banker, he just guided us through every bit of that. He worked with your loan. He did everything that he did. And it does remind us of how our Heavenly Father is, but how God puts people in your life to portray that, which is so important for small businesses, to be able to have those people that you can hang on to and trust, that believe in what you're doing. There's never been a time in our history that those people that we were acquainted with, whether it be bankers or people that would help us fill our facilities, they always believed in us, and that's so important.
Yeah, and we just never knew what they had in store or what part of the plan they were part of. But, they always served a purpose in that time for whatever we were doing at the time. And then there was a new person that came on for something else. But
we would have never known him, though, had we not went.
Well, and not only we're just working with, most of the time you get a loan, you get a bank officer, you work with him, and they go to loan committee. I'll be honest with you, Worth Carter is the bank president. I remember that your dad and I went to his office in Martinsville, Virginia, and he had this house that looked a little bit like the Bedford Columns. It was his bank office. And on the whole left side of the house was his office. I mean, literally the whole left side was his office. So we went in, waited for him to meet with us, went back there, and he had this giant office.
I was with you, but don't you remember that he had stacks of manila folders from the bottom of the baseboard to the top of the wall, and that was all of his active loans and things he had done in the past. He didn't put them in file cabinets. It was all along a wall. And I can remember looking at you and saying, this man is brilliant.
Yeah, he was just a really unique person. From our first meeting at the local branch, he actually knew our plans, which I was amazed that he knew as much about the plans, because this is a bank president. So we met with him in Martinsville. This was our final meeting there. And we, just like she said, he had all these files around the room and all these things he was doing. And then we had loan committee, and he made all that happen. And so we didn't have to go through all the hoops and everything else. We had the main guy, just like you do with God, guiding your path. And in those situations, I truly felt like that's what that was. So when it came time, when we opened up and the forecasting was gloom and doom and the financial stuff that you hear on the news was not good, I had worked with Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae loans to try to convert the construction loan over. It was my first time doing that. And I was successful getting one of those. And so he was able, just on our commitment letter, and it sometimes takes you anywhere from 6 to 9 months to finalize those loans, where our construction loan had come due. But because we were working with him, he personally made sure that as long as we had that commitment letter of what was going to happen, that he kept us on board. And I firmly believe that this was another bank, a Bank of America, or any other kind of bank, of Wells Fargo, we may not even be here at this time.
So it's like one family business with another family business. Takes one to know one kind of thing.
It really does.
The theory of that. And so what a blessing all of that was. And so we began the big construction at Smith Mountain Lake, and the Lord filled us up. And we remained almost at 98% occupied for years. And we just added on up there what we call the towers, which is an independent living section of Smith Mountain Lake facility, and we are doing well. The cottages are all sold. We've stopped construction, and we've ended that part for right now.
So we have a total of 54 cottages built.
54 cottages, Christopher, after we had a problem just getting through the first 10. But it just goes to show you that when you're in it to win it and God's on your side, that there is no economic gloom, that you just stay focused and stay in the race. That's the big thing. Don't quit. Don't give up. Stay in the race. We then added on a wellness center, which was a great addition. So we have Cross-White now running that facility for us. It has an indoor pool and tons of space to work out. We're primarily geared towards seniors, but a lot of the Smith Mountain Lake community comes in and enjoys that space, Christopher. And Cross-White Fitness just joined our efforts in trying to keep our seniors healthy and active up there. And so we're doing very well at that location, and so proud. And kudos to you for all the back story on all that. That's great.
You really, oftentimes, I'm not going to say there weren't, times where there were challenges, not all just a rosy ride, but you just got to know you got to ride those out sometimes, because when you ride them out at the end of the day, they're always worth it, and things that you gain and things that you learn from doing that are worth the trip at times. But you don't really know that until you go through them. And,
but how exciting it is for us to drive on campus. Now it truly is a campus, and see 54 homes around that care community. And then see the wellness center. You couldn't even get another car in up there the other day. And the pickleball courts. And our vision, God's calling our vision, and now to watch it unfold, it's so exciting. I have a hard time going to all of the places now and not just always being so filled with gratefulness, a grateful heart, but just so exciting. Just that was in my mind 32 years ago, and there it is. It's happening. It's so much fun.
Yeah, to see it actually in front of you and be able to touch it. Sometimes when you're having a tough day or you're struggling with something, I always think when you go to the buildings, we
talked about that the other day.
We always try to visit them at least, every other week. We try to block off time to go by and see them. But when you go in and you get to talk to the residents and just see them and have them say things to you, that's really what it's all about. That's sort of the battery charger. That's sort of
we call it filling our cup.
Yeah, we
need our cup filled.
I know I need that a lot of times, and I know that when you're dealing with different things and you get caught up in the day-to-day kind of stuff that seems like big deals at the time. That's a great way for us to try to get a break from that.
We started with 9 employees, and what do we have today?
A little north of 440. That's in everything. That's not just healthcare, but right.
That's a lot of people to be responsible for. Yeah. And it's also a lot of people to try to get on board with everything that we're doing. So blessed, because without them, we wouldn't be able to accomplish what we do today, from the housekeeper to the administrator to the dish pit guy to matter.
We have a lot of folks that, when I say drink the Kool-Aid, they really buy into what you're doing. They make us who we are, and without those folks, that staff that we have that just believe in what we do.
And we got a good core group at Smith Mountain Lake that have been with us for over 10 years.
Yeah, a long time.
So when families start shopping and they say, how long have your staff been with us? The majority have been there for over 10 years, which is such a blessing.
It's the beauty of a rural place, because if they get a
they
job,
have nowhere else
they
to
stay.
Go.
Yeah, so that's a plus too. So,
well, that's the story of a few of our communities. You alluded to the fact that Dr. Falwell said that in your meeting that wouldn't be your last. And come 2013, I believe.
Yeah.
That came true. And you guys had the...
What was so special about that was that Dr. Falwell had tried to create a retirement community in that very spot, on the very ground that we're discussing right now, and earlier in his ministry. And at that time, we weren't ready to take over something like that, but we didn't understand that.
And we got bitter.
We got a little bitter because we didn't understand why our home church wouldn't come to us and ask us to be a part of it. Maybe not do the whole thing, but be a part of it. And so we learned from that. We learned that God doesn't say no. What he says is not now. And Dr. Falwell was called home. The bank owned the property that he had tried to build this big retirement community on. And you got another call to where you came home.
2 things. It was Carter Bank and Trust again.
Yeah.
That had worked with Liberty when all this happened. And the group that was trying to do this was out of New York, was called Savoy Senior Housing. And they had all these grand plans and had all these community meetings, and we would go to the community meetings, and every time we go, we come back and say, gosh, that's just going to kill us. This is just going to, all the great stuff we've done is going to be overshadowed by this giant company out of New York. And so, they came, they got started, they built a lot of the independent homes, but that's all they built. And then they had problems, and they went belly up. So there was this campus, roads that were in, and these independent homes, but no buildings. And it sat there for years and years. And Carter Bank was the bank that had done that and rode that out, and we're really taking the brunt of all of that. This group that we had worked with before with the Forest location had also worked with Carter Bank on a lot of other properties. And they approached Carter Bank with maybe buying the land and finishing the vision up there. And so I remember I was in the Home Depot parking lot. One morning after dropping off the kids at school, I was there to get something from Home Depot. And Hunter Smith gave me a call. And Hunter, said, hey, Brian, how's it going? We just did some small talk. And he proceeded to say, listen, I got this opportunity. Well, the last time they called us with an opportunity was Y2K, New Year's Day, which was just a game changer for us. So I said, okay, Hunter, tell me about it. And so they had bought this land from Carter Bank, and they were going to finish the development. So their plan was to create a senior living, a memory care building, and a nursing home there. And they had plans, they had approvals to do all this kind of stuff. But at the same time, they had an opportunity in the Virginia Beach area to take off a building called the Chamberlain, which was on the water, multiple stories, great views, just an incredible building. But at that point in time, they couldn't do both. They had to do one or the other. And he said, we feel that the Chamberlain is a better option for us, where it's located, what it has, the amenities, to do that, which means we cannot do the Liberty Ridge project. And since we worked with you before, would you be open to even considering this? And I said, well, let me talk to Vickie, and I'll call you back. I'm all excited, everything else.
We only had a little bit of time.
Yeah, because they had already committed, plans had started. And what happened was they had a little bit of time to make their decision, because they had this Chamberlain option for them, they had to decide quickly. And so they were under the time frame, but they wanted to know if they chose to do that, was there a plan B?
They had to have a backup.
They had to have a backup. And so we were their first call, and here's another gift dropped from the heavens. And so we talked, and we were both very favorable to that, and met with them, and we decided that we would take it. And I think once they knew we were in on this, because again, they wanted the whole property to be developed. They took the Chamberlain, and they went with the opportunity in the Tidewater area, and we were able to all of a sudden now this building that we thought this project that we thought was going to be something that was going to hurt us.
It was another deal God had in his back pocket.
Yeah, and Dr. Falwell had said, I don't think this will be your last. And
we didn't design the building. They had already had that done because they were getting ready to build it. Yeah. And one of the things that you noticed and brought to my attention, that an aerial view of that building, it's a cross.
Yeah. Yeah, the building is a large T. And, there was an aerial photo that was taken of what the building would look like. And I said, Vickie, look at this. This is a cross. And the crazy thing is, in the years to come after that, I had a gentleman that was part of the church that had postcards when they did all of their marketing, and shared with me the postcard. And the building that Smith Packard was doing was almost identical to what, Dr. Falwell had planned as well. So
we had a great time taking two of Dr. Falwell's children through, Jonathan and Jerry, and way back then. And we took them through separately and shared with them kind of our story about that building and how Dr. Falwell had prayed over us. And he had kind of prophesied that building to be, I mean, he had no way of knowing it would be there, but how special it was to the two of us and our entire family, mom and dad, to know that, Dr. Falwell's vision was finally coming true. And the Lord was using us. When he said no to us, we weren't ready for that. But we were then, and he just said not now. And we kind of hung on to that. Like, that was a little God wink for us. And it's been that how many beds do we have between that and Pearls of Life, which is across the street?
There's 170 units. We have a licensed capacity for 205. with couples there, and then we're licensed for 87 across the street. So it's amazing, that how that all turned out was that we worked with Smith Packett to do Liberty Ridge, and we opened in 2014. Again, that's where my mom got to go.
And my aunt.
And your aunt, they were charter members.
They were.
The day we opened up, and my mom was so excited to move in there. She'd
like
taken
college students.
Yeah, that's what I sort of said. It's just for her. She was very social, and when she took care of my dad when he passed, I think this was a great way. Honestly, for her last years was her best. She met people. She would introduce herself. She would make sure they had a good time, because we had this plan of we would hook up new residents that moved in with existing. We had like 15 charter members, and it was their job to show them the ropes, to help them at dinner, to make sure they got involved in activities. That was a great plan, and Mom was one of those things.
So
and
we're
she loved
celebrating 10 years
this year. Yeah,
we're getting ready to do some celebrations, Christopher, at the facility.
Actually, this month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And looking back, like, what is your one memory of Liberty Ridge and the journey that we had? I remember still standing on the hill and we made them turn every light on in the building before we opened it. That is a big building. That's very daunting, and I did the interiors for that as well.
Yeah.
And we stood up on that hill and we looked down. We have a picture. Somebody captured a picture of us looking down at that facility. And I remember looking at you, and I said, one of the things I said to you is, and I'll never forget it, I said, I hope there's some great memories made there. I hope families can be restored, like broken families. I hope that people get to be together for a long time. I hope that life just happens in that building. And 10 years later, I can say that there has been a lot of that happened. And just how exciting to be a part of that and watch families, at the end of their journey, celebrate that person that they're in there with. How wonderful it's been. And we've so many people that we could sit and talk about their journey there, that it's been, just a God-given gift. And what is like one of your favorite memories of there?
I mean, it's just so many. I just personally think that building was a game changer for us as a company. It unlocked a lot of other doors for other things, even outside of senior living. I think it brought us into a world of our own with doing things that were unique to us. Mm-hmm. Like I know when we opened, we had our own bakery.
Yes.
Our chef that was there was a pastry chef, and we used to make fresh donuts every single day.
And the medical school, which is part of Liberty, we are not a part of Liberty University or the church. Everybody seems to think that we are, but we are independently owned by Runk&Pratt companies. But we welcome in all those students. The medical school students used to come over and partake in the bakery, and we make them cheeseburgers. They still come over and do so much. And Liberty Sports come up and just love on our residents.
It's an amazing relationship.
It is an amazing relationship.
They let us go to the theater events, the School of Music, there. All those events, sporting events. I mean, I don't think for the residents, we couldn't have dreamed for a better relationship.
Now when we go on campus, because Pearls of Life was built a few years after that, which is a complete state-of-the-art memory care facility, Christopher. We have all kinds of technology in there that we can talk about on a different show, but it filled up very quickly as well. But it's almost like if you build it, they will come. But now when we go as a family on campus to go visit those, we can't even find a place to park.
Yeah.
Like there's no parking. And when you stand and look, what we stood and looked as an empty building with all the lights on, so it'd be a pretty picture. Now we see it just full of life, which was our dream back then.
Well, I think if the things that we've done now, if we were to look at them now, I'd probably have a different perspective, because to think, filling 170 beds from zero, that's the scary part of it.
I felt every bit of
it.
The scary
part. Well, I think that was...
I felt every bit of those.
Yeah, that was your hurdle with the lake, and that was half the size.
Yes.
And then we had 170 units.
I got a lot of gray hairs from 2014
and now... we're running 96% full in a building that large, which is incredible.
You have to say at this point, national standards, we are so far above national standards with occupancy rates. Okay, everybody, we've had to cut for the time being, and we want you to join us as we continue talking about our faith journey and our growth at Runk&Pratt Companies. See you next week.